to CRN1 for Divine Love Talk, Mondays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, right here on CRN Digital Talk Radio.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN Digital Talk Radio. Chuck Wilder here with Paul Stern up there near the Hollywood Hills at the network. And we're live across America on this radio station, cable system, around the world at crntalk.com, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Blueberry, Blackberry, any way you want to get us. Hey, tomorrow's guest, Joyce Barden, senior professor at DeVry University, going to be talking about, what is this? It's like, it's cybersecurity. All right, I'll just put it that way. Yes. Matthew Whitaker, former U.S. attorney, executive director of the Foundation for Accountability and Civic Trust. That's FACT, F-A-C-T, and they're going to discuss Hillary Clinton is running for president and already breaking the law. Robert Spencer, director of Jihad Watch, contributor to PJ Media, author of Arab Winter Comes to America, The Truth About the War We're In. We'll be talking about the Islamic State. And Coach Dave Dobbenmeyer, founder and president of Past Assault Ministries and the Minutemen United, writes for News with Views. And his article, The First One to 30 Wins. Right now, let us go to the world famous Alan Karuba, founder of the National Anxiety Center, editor of the blog Facts Not Fantasy, author of Right Answers, Separating Fact from Fantasy, and Warning Signs. And Alan's blog, factsnotfantasy.blogspot.com, has now received over 4 million visits. That's right. How could that many people go to the wrong site? And, well, anyway, we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Heard that.
Hey, Alan, oh, you heard that. Oh, I thought you weren't here yet. And
I'm just as amazed as you. That's an extraordinary number, but it's accumulated over a couple of years that the site's been up and people have heard about it and been referred to it and linked to it and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, it's a kind of an affirmation that I must be doing something right.
Well, and just be thankful and hopeful that those Russians don't say, "Hey, what in the world? 4 million? We better hack this one real quick and find out what's going on."
They don't even have to hack it. They can just get it on the internet. It ain't a secret.
Hey, before I talk to you latest, using the global warming hoax to destroy America, I want to get your comments. I think I saw this on Facebook today, and you were talking about John McCain running for the 6th term in the Senate. You know, the scary part about that, when you see headlines, John McCain announces he's running. Oh, no, not for president. Please, no. You know.
It's scary enough to think that he's running for senator from Arizona, because if anyone is the poster boy for term limits,
yes,
it's John McCain. He's been there too long, and this has been a problem for the country in terms of governance. There are people that are in Congress until they die, and they really should serve just a couple of terms and get out. It'll make room for new faces, new thoughts, new thinking. Because you reach a certain point in life where you're really kind of out of touch with what's happening.
And if that's the only job you've ever had, and and you don't know anything else, maybe community organizing, you'll stay in there, like you say, until you die, or even perhaps become blind in one eye.
The country's had a number of unfortunate events.
People,
not the least of which, pardon me, is Harry Reid, possibly the worst majority leader that we have ever had to hold that office in 200 years or so of Congress. He shut down the Senate. He made it impossible for the Senate to function. Yeah. And he did it so that Obama didn't have to veto any laws that he didn't like. He just didn't want to be the president who wielded a veto pen. Well, that's part of the job.
And with all his illegal activities with these visas, illegally enough that they could land the average person in jail. Some people are saying that's why he's, not going to run. He's getting out of it before we get another president who might get a real, Department of Justice person there, the chief.
We haven't had a real Department of Justice for the last 6+ years. That's another unfortunate trend in the
sort of
lives
becoming,
of
who's my friend that wants to come in here and help me stir things up?
I'm not following your line of thought there.
Well, it's like rather than the guy that could really be good for the job, it's you bring in a friend or somebody that's not going to challenge you one bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always impressed by, because I love to read history, that Abraham Lincoln actually went out of his way to include people who he knew disagreed with him in either cabinet or advisory positions, things of that sort. He didn't want people around him agreeing with everything he had to say. He wanted to get some feedback. He wanted to hear, he actually thought, well, maybe I might be wrong. And the best way to know that is to get people with a different opinion to let you know.
It's amazing, it's nice that Abraham Lincoln would say, I may be wrong, and yet what we have today is, why are all these people wrong? It's not me.
Yeah. This is the problem when you have essentially a pathological narcissist in the job of president. Just incapable of even comprehending that he might be wrong. And a lot of unfortunate things happen as a result of that attitude. And we're seeing that the classic example is what passes for a foreign policy. We're looking at a world that's on fire in the Middle East, largely because he just pulled the U.S. out of it and made it known that the U.S. was not going to play any kind of a leadership role, period. Well, that's our job. We're the United States of America. We're one of the greatest economies in the world, the strongest militaries in the world, innovative, manufacturing, you name it. That's what we do. We lead. And when a president says, oh, no, we're just going to sit back and let the rest of the people sort it out, that's not the job of presidents.
Well,
presidents have to figure out what's happening and how to react to it.
But, Alan, if you wanted all those countries to fall, so to speak, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Since he's come into office, boy, the globe has changed.
Well, I'm not saying that, previous presidents were made, perfect and good decisions at all times. But, Obama's favorite excuse for anything is George Bush, it's his fault, But Bush understood.
You may have been, you put out those great cartoon things, and it might have been yours whenever Iran explodes their first nuclear bomb, that Obama's going to say, it's George Bush's fault and you're a racist. He'll probably say, I didn't know about it until I heard it on the news.
Well, absolutely. That's another curious aspect of
wondered what that noise was, folks. Hey, let's talk about this global warming. You and I, we talk a lot about it, but it's a little different today because we want to really get across the point that Obama has an agenda, all right, with his climate change, formerly known as global warming, before all the snow blizzards canceled their global warming meetings.
Stopped warming, huh?
Yeah, right.
It's been 18 years that we've been in a cooling cycle. 18 years that there has been no increase or increase in the temperature. It's leveled out at a much cooler level than it was 18 years ago.
And he wants to slash greenhouse gas emissions, you say in this latest article, 26% below the year 2005. Isn't that great? But see, Alan Karuba points out the fact that if he did move us to those levels, that would be comparable to what they were in the Civil War 150 years ago. Right.
Not that he has a lot of control over this. I mean, the business of cutting the greenhouse gas emissions, which, by the way, is ludicrous because the Earth is not a greenhouse, but cutting carbon dioxide, which is the primary gas they all point to, is as idiotic as it gets. It's a vital gas in our atmosphere because all vegetation depends upon it. Take away the CO2 or lower it, you get less growth, and that's forests, crops, anything that's green and leafy. We want more CO2. It's a healthier Earth.
And if he reduces these emissions, you point out, it would be a crime against humanity, especially for the millions that would be denied electrical power. The president, you say, has no credible evidence to back up his claims, and Obama's climate actions are likely to cause far more harm to people, especially the poor, than any purported threats from global warming.
Well, just look at your electricity bill today. People don't realize it. I love facts. I'm very fond of them. When Obama came into office in 2009, coal-fired plants provided 50% of the electricity in this country. It's now down to 40%, and he's trying to shut down more coal-fired plants. There is nothing wrong with using coal to generate electricity. It doesn't endanger anyone. And, you know, what kind of life would we have without electricity?
Well, I think probably there's many bottom lines in this, but let me get this one right here. Rothbard, I think's his name. You can tell him who he is. I'm sorry?
David Rothbard. He's one of the founders of it's called CFAC. That's the short acronym. It's the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow. It's a free market think tank.
Okay. And he's warning that global warming campaigners see this presidency and the Paris UN summit as the best chance they are likely to see to take control of American energy. And the ramifications are disastrous for American freedom and prosperity. And if you want to transform this great country, that's another way to do it. You know, you can flood the borders with people who are coming from countries that are, well, as I've said before, and Marilyn Barnwell so perfectly wrote the article about it, it's people that could care less about any word called the Constitution. They didn't grow up with it. They don't know what it is. They don't know about the Bill of Rights. They just know the government will take care of me, socialism. And that's what we're importing. And with this global warming hoax, it's just more of a way to take over this country.
Well, that's the bottom line. It's a way to scare enough people into saying, yes, we'll let the government decide, how much energy is produced and how it's produced. And that's not the way this country has grown in all the years that it's been around.
And Alan,
what you do is you keep the government out of these decisions. You let the free market, you let the demand for energy determine how much there is.
Right. Hey, Alan, coming up on a break, and for you, the listener, the next time you get together with Barack, just ask him, say, I just don't know about this global warming, but I have one question for you. China, they are the largest CO2 producer in the world. Why did you give them the free license to build as many coal power plants as they want to? But we can't do it. And they're already producing. It's well, I'm sorry, sir. I know you are so wise, and if we object, you'll just write an executive order, I guess. Yeah. Alan Karuba, the editor of the blog Facts Not Fantasy, factsnotfantasy.blogspot.com.
The Showroom at South Point presents illusionist Rick Thomas. Mind-gripping effects that will have you mesmerized. April 10th through the 12th. Is it magic? Illusion. Is it real? Tickets are vanishing fast. Conjure yours now by the magic of going online at southpointcasino.com or charge by phone 702-797-8055. Rick Thomas at the South Point.
I'll start out with some of my songs that go back to my very first recording.
The showroom at South Point presents Crystal Gale, April 24th through the 26th. Tickets available now. In person at the South Point box office, online at southpointcasino.com, or charge by phone 702-797-8055. Don't miss Crystal Gale at the South Point.
You order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus, hollandaise on the side, a filet, medium rare. You unfurl your napkin with a flair, close your eyes, and prepare to listen. Ah, there it is. The sweet music you long to hear. The sizzle. The sizzle of a Ruth's Chris steak.
The most magnificent corn-fed prime beef, broiled to perfection at 1800 degrees. Some call it a sizzle. We call it an anthem.
As the waiter approaches, you think, is this one mine or that one?
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Like Ruth always said, life's too short to eat anywhere else.
Make a reservation online at ruthschris.com or by calling 800-544-0808.
We are perfectionists. We do it right and don't stop until the job is done. We build commercial zero-turn mowers with maneuverability, power, and comfort. Who are we? We are Kubota. Now, during our More Power to You sales event, you can get long-term financing as low as 0% APR on new commercial-grade Z700 series mowers. For more information or to find a participating dealer, visit Kubota.com.
Here on CRN, we'd like to keep you updated on what's happening in wine throughout the state of California. Napa, Sonoma. The Pacific Coast has great regions like the Central Coast area, Paso Robles, Santa Barbara, Temecula. Join our very own Larry Van Alst as he takes a look at what's cooking on wine, the Sonoma Report. It comes your way Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. right here on CRN. Winemakers, superstars, wine growers, and more. With Larry Van Alst, what's cooking on wine, the Sonoma Report.
Everybody's talking at me.
My guest, Alan Karuba, founder of the National Anxiety Center, editor of the blog Facts Not Fantasy, author of Warning Signs, and let me see here, and he also does his book views. That's bookviews.com. Gives you his opinion about a wide range of subjects and books, and Karuba.info, and of course the most important one, going for 5 million or billion, factsnotfantasy.blogspot.com. You know, you mentioned here Senator McConnell was saying that considering that 2/3 of the U.S. federal government hasn't even signed off on the Clean Power Plan, 13 states have already pledged to fight it. Our international partners should proceed with caution before entering into a deal with you-know-who.
Well, you mentioned the deal that Obama made with China a couple of months back, which basically said, yeah, you can build all the coal-fired plants for electricity that you want, and but we'll hold off. Yeah, that makes no sense. I mean, if these greenhouse gas emissions are such a threat to the planet, why would we let China off the hook? Or for that matter, why would we ignore the fact that India is doing the same thing as China? And the reason simply for both nations is they are developing. They need electricity in order to have the factories and power the homes and do everything that a modern nation does. You have to have power, and that's electricity, and coal is abundant. Right here in the United States, we have an estimated reserve of coal in the ground that would last us 200 years. We're also, by the way, have reserves of natural gas and oil
Yeah.
that put us at the top of the list.
Boy,
this
you know,
country,
it sounds like this guy Obama just doesn't want Americans to have
thrive, to succeed.
Thrive, prosperity, yeah.
Right.
And let's drive those electric prices up, and wow. I mean, you could almost ruin a country the way this gentleman is
People
going.
are beginning to notice that. I've noticed, too, that as we head into the last 21 months of this man's mad agenda, people are genuinely growing fearful and depressed because every day is some new horrendous lie. The latest, I think, was yesterday. He said that climate change was probably the cause of one of his daughters having asthma. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It just gets worse and worse.
You know, one of the to me is like good news. All right, is this Rasmussen report came out April 6th, and they are now saying 83% say that anybody, this is in America, anybody in America should be required to prove they are legally allowed to be in this country before they receive any local, state, or federal government services.
Amen.
83% on a poll. And they don't take polls, you know, from little young people. I think the normal age for people that are taking these polls are voter ages.
Yes, primarily.
83% say they're tired of what we're doing with all the illegal aliens, and they come first. You saw the email I sent out, I think, today, did you? Where I'm trying to think what it was here. I don't know if I got rid of it already.
I'm trying to remember it, too.
It was a notice that
that someone showed up at a government
Yeah, they had to hire a translator at the welfare department or whatever because somebody came up that spoke English.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And, you know, and that's just about the way it's come now. It's, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? Man, yesterday, Alan, I did a whole thing about all the gangs with Jessica Vaughn, CIS. And, like, for example, El Salvador is number one with MS-13. And it's one of the 3 countries that he's over there now, giving them airplane trips. Come on over. Don't worry about crossing the border. I'm going to bring you in. And as soon as you get here, you got the education, you got the food stamps. We'll get you on Social Security.
He's trying to destroy our society
America
by flooding it with people who are here illegally. And it's not just the Latin Americans. He's bringing in a lot of people from Arab countries.
Yep. And we hope they're waking up. That would be you, the people. Alan Karuba is going to be right back. And when we come back, listen to this one he wrote. Only fools trust Obama or the Iranians. We'll talk about that one. He's got some really good ones here. And I'm defending New Jersey politics. My goodness. Oh, don't go away.
We are perfectionists. We do it right and don't stop until the job is done. We build commercial zero-turn mowers with maneuverability, power, and comfort. Who are we? We are Kubota. Now, during our More Power to You sales event, you can get long-term financing as low as 0% APR on new commercial-grade Z700 series mowers. For more information or to find a participating dealer, visit Kubota.com.
Lads, clearing out weeds is all about give and take. Hello, this is Scott for Scots, and what I mean is, you want to take those pesky weeds out, but to keep them out, you need to give your grass something in return. Which is exactly what Scott's Turf Builder Weed and Feed does. It kills weeds while it feeds and thickens your grass to help crowd out future invasions. To learn more about Scott's Turf Builder Weed and Feed, go to scotts.com. Weed your lawn and feed it.
Homeowners, now is the season to be thinking about your roof, because all it takes is one storm to turn a small roof problem into a major leak. If it's time for a new roof, call Sears at 888-465-9720. You can save $500 if you call right now. Sears licensed, fully insured contractors can get your roofing job done right. Just call 888-465-9720. Sears has a variety of shingles and styles that are built for long-lasting performance, and you'll save $500 if you call now. So call Sears for a free in-home consultation at 888-465-9720. Hurry, offer ends soon. Not available in all areas. Installation provided by Sears authorized licensed contractors. License information available upon request. That's Sears Roofing. Call right now and save $500. Call 888-465-9720. 888-465-9720. Call Sears now and get that roof repaired. Call 888-465-9720.
When you really want Italian food, you've got to go to Columbo's. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club, Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. Is that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you? It's springtime in the Southland, and the yucca filamatusa are in bloom, and so is the hunger and thirst for good times. Palate-pleasing, mouth-watering steaks, yes! Neptune's gifts of the freshest fish direct from the seven seas, oh yes! Columbo's delectable Italian family specialities that shame the competition, yes! Jazz every night, check. All at such reasonable prices. Yes, yes, yes. And might I add one more yes? Thank you. Let us not forget their award-winning meatballs. Oh, yes. Columbo's. It's more than the stuff of urban legend. It is that good. Columbo's, because it really is that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Columbo's. Yes. Manja.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-351-8614. That's 800-351-8614. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-351-8614.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN, Chuck Wilder with my guest Alan Karuba. And now, let's move to the one you posted the other day. Only fools trust Obama or the Iranians. And you say, only fools express any trust in Obama these days, or the Iranians, who have made him look like the fool when no one in their neighborhood or the world trusts a thing they would say or do. And I've been talking about this one guy, Zavid Zarif, which you mentioned in this article, but
he's the Iranian counterpart to the Secretary of State.
He's actually the Iranian foreign minister. I didn't realize he had such an important title. And the one I first got on him, they said just hours after the announcement, the country's leading negotiator lashed out at Obama administration for lying about the details of the tentative framework. Iranian foreign minister lying. Wow.
This is after our president and Secretary of State were bragging about this accord that they had reached with Mr. Zarif.
The good deal
with the Iranians. But and they've spent the last 18 months to reach this point. I have a question for everybody listening. Would you negotiate with people with a nation whose motto was death to America? I'm not making that up.
I know, yeah.
You can go into Iranian hotels and they'll have it over the door. But
he and Valerie Jarrett, I'm telling you, I just had Avi Davis reporting from Israel in the first hour and talking about, Valerie Jarrett. And, Michelle and Barack Obama owe her so much. She's the one that pulled all the strings that got them where they are today, and her mom and dad live in Iran. And then you got Hillary's little Abidin, or whatever her name is, and I'm telling you, I think Iran is laughing at this country right now.
Oh, yeah.
It is just unbelievable.
Well, this was the country that in 1979 seized U.S. diplomats and held them for 444 days. I mean, can you think of a similar circumstance in the modern era?
And you know what? You know why they got out? I mean, you and I know the reason they were released.
You tell everybody.
The reason they were released was because Ronald Reagan went into office as President of the United States, and they said, whoops, you guys are out of here now. Wow. Apparently, we got a warrior in the White House now. You don't even have to have a warrior. You have to have a man that stands up for the principles of the United States of America.
Yeah, that's the history of it.
Yeah. I don't see anybody on the horizon either that would be elected, in 2017, and not on either side. I don't see anybody that's, carrying that big stick.
Well, I'd like to be a little bit more hopeful. I haven't really. I'm leaning because I'm one of those ultra right wing wackos. So
yeah.
I have a little sign over my door that says "Welcome to this department of this ultra wacko." Anyhow,
the Department of what? Insanity? Did you say
something like that? Hey, keeps me.
Oh, it's
happy.
fantasy. I'm sorry. Yeah, facts, not insanity.
I'm leaning at this early point in our campaign for the next president toward Ted Cruz.
Yeah,
because he's impressive intellectually, but he also he seems to have his finger on all the things we need to do to clean up the mess that's
very
been
good speaker
handed
too,
to us. So I until I hear otherwise, I'm gonna lean in his direction. I cannot think of a worse decision or future for America than Hillary Clinton.
Oh wow!
It just is mind-boggling. This woman has virtually no resume except that she was married to Bill Clinton, and of course was the governor's wife when he was governor of Arkansas, and he was president's wife when he was president. I mean, this is not a resume of great achievement. When she was Secretary of State, what happened? Well, we saw the whole Middle East go up in flames. This is not a good thing. We saw Benghazi, a scandal where we were lied to. That's a word that keeps coming up.
Alan, and another thing about Hillary is, if you read the books that came out, there were 3 or 4, I think 3, on Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton in the White House, and it was written by Secret Service agents.
Oh, yeah.
And read about Hillary, and then think, do you really you think King Obama is far-fetched? Wow. Hillary, when it comes to where you're not even allowed to look at her, you got to sort of,
she had a bad
amazing.
Attitude, which is a nice way of putting it.
She had a bad attitude about the American flag and the Marines, and boy, let me make a suggestion, all right? I wonder if this is possible. For anyone who really, really, gets into the final 4, we'll call it, for president, all right? So you get down to 4 people. Have them be able to stand in the Rose Garden and see if you can do it with a straight face and not lie. Then you get elected.
Well, first of all, Hillary shouldn't even be allowed to stand in the Rose Garden. This is a woman who has broken the law with her private emails, and all of which have disappeared, by the way. Why would we elect someone who doesn't obey the laws of the nation? It boggles the imagination.
Well, you give me the perfect opportunity to mention that tomorrow I've got a former U.S. attorney, director of FACT, F-A-C-T. Have you heard of them? It is the Foundation for Accountability and Civic Trust. Yeah. And what they're going to be talking about is the fact that she's running for president and she's already broke the law, and they're talking about all these illegal campaign contributions from terrorist nations.
Yes. To her
the foundation, while she's
she was the Secretary of State.
Yeah. Secretary of State.
There's a thing called ethics, which we seem to have forgotten a lot about in modern times. We're going through a very bad time in terms of the mood and the it's hard to take pride in a nation that's represented by people like this.
And a bad thing, Alan, there's so many people that have this frame of mind. I want a female president.
Yeah.
I want a female president.
That's not an excuse to vote for anyone.
But they think it is.
Well, we have a lot of, what do they call them, the low information voters?
Yeah.
Which is a nice way of saying we got a lot of people out there who are relatively unschooled and not paying much attention to anything other than Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. You said unschooled, right?
Yeah.
That at one time that was a perfect words you could use for a description. Unschooled.
Stupid.
But man, when you watch Waters from Bill O'Reilly go out and do his Waters World interviews with college students. What's the name of the big body of water on the East Coast? Red Sea, Atlantis? I mean, these are people in college.
In college.
And Common Core hasn't soaked in so far. I mean, surely it hadn't had time to totally corrupt their mind. Oh, boy, I'm telling you.
That's another Obama plan that we have to get rid of in a big hurry. You can't, the notion, see, this is socialism. This is the heart of socialism, that one size fits all. And this is a country about individualism. It's not about one size fits all and everybody learns the exact same thing at the exact same time. That's not how human beings even spend their time in school. Some are fast learners, some are slow learners. You have your children's education has to be fashioned for their particular skills and talents and abilities. And some are going to. And
another thing, real quick here, is the founding fathers never, ever, ever wanted the government connected with the schools.
Oh,
they
absolutely.
Did not want the government telling your children how they should be taught. It was going to be left up to local and state.
That's why the word education is not found in the Constitution.
You're absolutely right. And, back on this thing real quick here about not being able to trust Obama and Iran. You mentioned here, how the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, even in Iran, they were kicked out.
Yeah.
They weren't going to let them look at anything. They did the same identical thing with North Korea. Yeah. And what was it called? The Non-Proliferation Treaty? Is that, was that North Korea?
I'm not sure what the treaty name was, but we went through in the 1900s. That's not the word I'm looking for. In the 1990s, that's what I'm looking for. In the 1990s, the Clintons administrations negotiated with North Korea, and North Korea agreed to everything. Oh, you can have inspectors. We'll join international organizations. No problem. And they turned around and kicked the inspectors out and said, "What are we going to do now? Oh yeah, we're going to test this new atomic bomb we have." This is the history of nations that wanted nuclear weapons and didn't care how they got them. And the fact of the matter is, we didn't know that India had developed its nuclear weapons. Pakistan, all these things. China, Russia developed nuclear weapons early on using plans they had stolen from us. I think the Obama crowd says, "Well, look, these nations are going to have it anyway." The problem is we were dealing with people who weren't completely Islamically insane. There's no nice way of saying it. Islam has a different way of looking at the world, and if they decide it's a worthy cause to blow Israel off the face of the world, the map of the world, they'll do it. They're not restrained in that regard. And what's to stop them from, smuggling in an A-bomb here and doing it to us? Nothing will stop these. This is like dealing with Nazis. And we saw how successful Neville Chamberlain was.
Oh, yeah. Alan, I want to move on because, boy, it looks like we got about 3.5 minutes or so before the break. But you have this article. There were a lot of good ones you had here, but anyway, defending New Jersey politicians.
Yes.
And, Obama and his people and Valerie Jarrett even made the statement on the 2012 election and the 2008 election, we are going to punish our enemies. If you're not with us, we're going to remember what you're doing. And, he's threatening the Department of Homeland Security. You will not deport those people. I have written the executive order, and it's my wish to do this. And the judge says, no. I'm telling you right now, there will be consequences. And here you got a Democrat who says, I don't like this Iran deal. I don't like these negotiations with Cuba. And all of a sudden, well, guess what? It's about time we took you to trial. And his name is Robert Mendez, Democrat. Menendez, I'm sorry.
You're close, Menendez.
Very little time, so take it away, sir. You got about 3 minutes.
Well, I think the thing that stands out with the indictment of Menendez is that someone else was not indicted at the very same time, and that's Lois Lerner, who was the IRS agent that was at the heart of the scandal of denying the rights, denying the rights to conservative organizations to have tax-free status, tax-exempt status. So it's okay to let Lois Lerner walk. And out of nowhere, we have this indictment of Senator Menendez, and what for? Because he was a friend of someone who was a major supporter, very wealthy, major supporter, and for whom he may have done some favors, which is what politicians do. That's their line of business. They are in jobs of power. They have an obligation to represent their supporters and their constituents. That's what being a politician is. You don't send a politician to jail for that. There's no evidence that Menendez did anything other than what a politician normally does in terms of his relationship with a major supporter. This is going to come to nothing. But right now, it gets Menendez off Obama's back, because Menendez was the leading Democratic member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, and he was a very vocal opponent to Obama's actions in Iran and Cuba.
Yeah, they said, we can't allow this guy. What was it you have here to tell the Israelis and the world what a bunch of jackasses they were? Feared losing control of the rest of those senators that he has under control. It's Obamacare. Perfect example. You got to read the bill. You got to vote on the bill, but then read the bill. And yes, sir, whatever we can do for you. And yes, bow down. And boy, there were a bunch of lies there, weren't there?
There's only one answer to Obamacare, and that's repeal. It was a disaster from the day it was voted upon. And I'll be partisan here and point out that no Republican member of Congress voted for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So well, I'll tell you what.
Next time you're in the election booth, that's something to think about.
Yeah. We're going to take our final break here in just a moment. A couple of interesting articles that we won't have time to do. One of them is this $15 billion failure to store nuclear waste. And I think that, once again, probably goes back to our good old buddy Harry Reid, has something to do with it. And I'll leave it up to you, sir. It'll be all yours when we return with Alan Karuba. It's Facts Not Fantasy. .blogspot.com. Check it out, and he also has great cartoons there sometimes too that you will like. And his book reviews are at bookviews.com, and then there's also karuba.info. But the one you want to really grab hold of is factsnotfantasy.blogspot.com.
CRN travelers relax at the beautiful Fountain Grove Inn and Conference Center in Santa Rosa, California. Come to quality and come to luxury. Experience the newly renovated guest rooms. They're generously sized and they're decorated in the Tuscan tradition. They have great, incredible pillow-top mattresses, luxurious linens, and down-filled comforters. The Fountain Grove Inn also offers complimentary Wi-Fi and internet access. There's warm cookies and coffee every evening in the hotel lobby, and you can visit the newly remodeled Equus Restaurant and Equus Lounge with its new wine bar. It's the ideal place to relax and enjoy a glass of wine and watch our What's Cooking on Wine show on CRN with host Larry Van Alst on Wednesdays. It's the Fountain Grove Inn, Hotel, and Conference Center located in the heart of Sonoma wine country. It's easily located in Santa Rosa off the 101 Fountain Grove Parkway exit. Call 707-578-6101. That's 707-578-6101 or visit fountaingroveinns.com.
Before you hire someone to take care of a patient at home, contact at least 3 references. AARP caregiving expert Amy Goyer.
It's a good idea to ask, was there anything when this person was working for you that had to be worked on, that was a little bit challenging that you had to work out? Because that will sometimes open the door for you to get a sense of the person's weaknesses as well as their strengths.
You also want, if possible, to get the okay from the person receiving the care. So have the applicant meet the patient.
See how the interaction goes. Have your loved ones give you some feedback if they're able to do that. How did they like the person? One of the things I always observe is, does the care worker talk mostly to you as the family caregiver? It'll give you a real good idea of how they're going to be with your loved ones when they're alone with them, when you're not around.
And have a backup plan in case you need to make a change in a caregiving schedule. Tomorrow, paying the IRS. That's Primetime Focus, brought to you by AARP. I'm Aileen Ellis.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, Ph.D., host of Healthline. Join me live to get your questions answered and hear the latest breakthrough information for you and your family. This month, our Dragon Cleanse LX is on special. This has been studied for its extraordinary ability to bind a wide variety of toxins in the gastrointestinal tract, especially those that have dicarbonyl chemical structures or that bind to calcium-dependent binding sites. Research suggests it doesn't bind beneficial nutrients because of its unique structure. With the ever-increasing amount of toxins in our food and our environment, here's a practical, inexpensive way to mitigate the problem. Buy 2 bottles and get the third one free. Call 800-370-3447. That's 800-370-3447.
Listen to Healthline daily at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on CRN.
Everybody's talking at me.
Chuck Wilder with my guest, Alan Karuba. Hey, you know, I was talking about Obama saying, we will punish our enemies and da-da-da-da-da. And actually, you start that out with a April 5th posting on factsnotfantasies.blogspot.com. On the 2010 elections, he did it also.
That's a rather thuggish approach to politics, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, it certainly is. And yeah, he does.
I'm not exactly impartial.
Yeah.
In case,
but we do worry.
Your
listeners
might have noticed that.
I always refer to it, and I've done it with you before. You know, is that he's like a little baby in a high chair, putting his spoon on, you know, and yeah, all the time.
Let me leave. You've only got a few minutes or less. You mentioned Yucca Mountain, which, to sum it up, and I'll quote Senator Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma. He said, "The American people have spent 30 years and $15 billion to determine whether Yucca Mountain would be a safe repository for our nation's civilian and defense-related nuclear waste. 30 years, $15 billion, and it ain't open. It's not available. It's been kept closed despite this enormous investment and despite the fact that this nation needs a repository."
Well, let me ask you, where are Yucca Mountain? Where are it located?
Where are it? It's a big mountain in Nevada.
There's...
Not far from where Harry Reid lives.
Yeah, Nevada, yeah. And we thought the Keystone Pipeline was delayed.
It just goes on, one example after another of ways to in effect, harm this nation in one fashion or another. And that's what I referred to earlier, is that my sense of the mood of the nation, of people who are paying attention to these things, is one of depression. People are really, we sit around the table and we say, what can be done about this, man?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is a dynamic Congress. We have a Congress that the Senate and the House both are controlled by the Republican Party, and we must depend on them to stand up and address these abuses, and not to let these lies go flying by. It's a daily job.
And I'll tell you something, Alan. In an area where I grew up, and I'm very familiar with, they do store nuclear waste in New Mexico. Mm-hmm. Near Carlsbad, New Mexico, and the salt mines, the old salt mines that are no longer being used.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can store it in mountains, and, so that's not the reason.
You'd have to read my piece to get it at the various reasons involved. But it's all political and has nothing to do with the reality of what do we do with the nuclear waste.
All right. Hey. All out of time, sir. Alan Karuba. Be sure to go to factsnotfantasy.blogspot.com. Become a regular contributor, reader. There's just all kinds of adjectives I could use here, and I better not. There you go. Alan, thank you very much. As usual, excellent show, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, tomorrow we're going to be talking about cybersecurity. The accountants are now on the front lines. It's more like CSI than CPA with Joyce Barden. Matthew Whitaker from FACT, F-A-C-T, talking about Hillary. That's the Foundation for Accountability and Civic Trust. Robert Spencer, Director of Jihad Watch, and Coach Dave Dobbenmeyer. The first 1 to 30 wins. All right. Thank you, Paul Stern. Thank you for listening. And slower traffic, would you please keep to the right?
Are you tired of hearing your favorite talk radio show sound like this? What if you could hear your favorite shows in crystal clear, high-definition digital sound? Well, with CRN Digital Talk Radio's 6 channels of high-definition radio, you can now hear all of your favorite hosts like you've never heard them before in CRN HD. The difference is amazing. Catch your favorite political hosts like Dennis Prager, Tom Hartman, Barry Farber, and so many more. Entertainment and lifestyle programming like the Robert